Good afternoon and welcome to Muskegon Rotary. My name is Tim Arter and I have the pleasure of serving as your president this year. Today's program will be a presentation from Reed Muskegon. We will also have a presentation on the very positive results of our recent membership survey. We will have a reflection from Jamie Hecker, and we will recite the four-way test at the end of the meeting. At this time, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to start our reflection with a haiku from the poet Matsuo Basho. Winter solitude, a world of one color, the sound of the wind. Today, please let us be a light for our neighbor, bring color to their world, break the solitude, and bring warmth to the cold.
Very nice, Jamie. At this time, you can turn to your lunch, and we'll be back with you in a little while. Thank you. At this time, I ask that Rotarians with guests, please come forward. Rotarians with guests or visiting Rotarians, please come forward at this time.
Melissa Moore with Reed Muskegon, and my guest today is Jenna Lakos, who is the Development Director at Reed Muskegon. And yes, part of the famous Lakos family restaurant family.
Hi, I have a last-minute addition today since she didn't have school. This is my daughter, Sophia, and she's in 5th grade at the North Muskegon Elementary, and she's in the Early Act program there. She has something to say, too, for it.
North Early Act is doing a book drive, so please bring all your gently loved books.
Thank you. Thanks, William. How you doing?
Hi, everybody. Kendra Robinson here. I have the wonderful students today from Muskegon Heights Academy. We have Miss Ellis here, who's the school counselor, and she's going to introduce 2 of her seniors.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here and a pleasure to actually have a couple of my students here on a snow day. It is. Don't they look nice, by the way? But I have 2 seniors with me. They are very involved and they are amazing students and they have a future ahead of them. I'm not going to speak for them. I'm going to let them let you know what their plans are. But I have Anicia Marble here with me and Lawrence Pascal.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anicia Marble. I'm a senior at Muskegon Heights. I play volleyball, basketball, and I'm a varsity cheerleader. I'm also the president of our student council, and I was homecoming queen this year. I'm involved in a lot of things. I do Upper Bound. I help in the community. I just do everything I can. If you ask me to do something, I'm going to do it for you. My plans after high school is to go to college. I'm either thinking about Ferris State University or Alabama State for a major in business marketing or history, and then a minor in design.
Hi, my name is...
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt because Lawrence right here was a last minute, like the student I was supposed to bring didn't want to get out of bed. So I said, Lawrence, you have 30 minutes to get dressed. I'm taking you to this lunch with me, so I'm very proud of him.
Hi, my name is Lawrence Pascal, a senior at Muskegon Heights Academy. I played track and field, football, and not varsity, JV basketball. I was a part of the Upper Bound thing, and I do CTC, graphic production class. My plans at the high school is I am trying to go to college. I don't know which one yet, don't know what my major is, but I am looking forward to doing sports in college.
Very well done. At this time, I will turn over the podium to Melissa Horton to introduce today's program.
We're laughing because it's the Melissa show today. So I am very proud to introduce Melissa Moore from Reed Muskegon. Melissa has spent 30 years in nonprofit management working for national and statewide organizations, including the Student Conservation Association, Plus Time New Hampshire, and the American Youth Foundation. In 2013, she was honored to become the first executive director of Reed Muskegon, and to this day, it continues to be the best job she's ever had. Melissa lives in Whitehall, where she proudly serves as a member of the Whitehall District Schools Board of Education. Her husband, Tom, is the director of the White Lake Area Community Education, and they're the proud parents of 3 young adults, Lachlan, Clara, and Alice, who are all finding their own ways to positively impact our world. So please join me in welcoming Melissa Moore.
All right. Am I using this? Oh. Direction. Is that good? Okay. All right. Well, I was really excited when Missy asked me to do this a couple months ago because I think a lot of people know what Reed Muskegon is or think they know, but I don't think you really know, for the most part, the depth of the work that we do. So I'm excited. I've got a lot to pack into my 20 minutes that Mike has given me, so I'm going to jump right in, and hopefully I know how to use this. I'm going to go all the way through these. So I want to start by talking about the landscape of adult literacy in our country, because I think a lot of people talk about third grade reading, but they don't really understand how big the issue of adult illiteracy in our country is. Right now, in the United States, 54% of adults are reading below a 6th grade level. So too low to qualify for those manufacturing jobs that now require technology, too low to manage your health and your finances well, too low to really be able to help your child succeed in school. In Muskegon County, over 25,000 adults are reading below a 4th grade level, which is considered functionally illiterate, which means every single day these people might be able to read some words, but their comprehension and ability to do something with what they read is really limited. So they're relying on other people every day to interpret what they're reading and help them make critical decisions. So imagine the independence and the reliability on other people that takes. In our country today, only 10% of adults who could benefit from a program like Reed Muskegon or a GED or high school completion program actually have access to them. So there's a ton of work to do. So I also want to give you a little bit of background on Reed Muskegon for those of you who aren't as familiar with us. I'm just going to get these all out here at once. You can read them all. So we were founded in 2005 as an all-volunteer organization with a mission to address that adult literacy issue. To this day, we are the only nonprofit in Muskegon County whose sole focus is literacy. As Missy mentioned, in 2013, I was hired as the first paid executive director. There were many people doing that work prior to, of the organization. A couple of years after that, we expanded the mission of Reed Muskegon to take out the word adult and really look holistically at the issue. So on your table, you'll see a menu of the programs that we offer today, which still isn't complete. But we've come a long way since our founding in 2005. These are some outcomes from 2023. You'll see we served over 450 individuals. Our biggest program growth was in our ESL program and also in our program for justice-involved citizens that are in our county jail or in some of our reentry programs. 2024 is not done yet, but we are on track to serve over 500 this year. So we've come a long way, again, since 2025. Because we do so much, and because I feel like there is no better way to really help you understand what we do than to show you and also share through the words of some of our amazing community partners, I am now going to ask Mike to share a video with you. And it is a little bit longer, but I think it's a really good use of time, better than me talking.
Literacy to most people, I think, means the ability to read and write. But at Reed Muskegon, we know that there's a little bit more to it than that. So we define literacy as the ability to read, write, and use technology at a level that allows an individual to reach his or her full potential in society. So if you think about it, it's more than just the ability to understand words. It's putting the words to work, if you will. So in Muskegon County, we know that 25,000 adults ages 16 through 74 are reading below a 4th grade reading level. So if you shake out those numbers, that's 1 in 5. So 1 in 5 people who are walking through your doors, walking through your place of business, could be struggling with reading.
Goodwill's mission is to change lives through the power of work, and our vision is that everyone has a pathway to meaningful and sustaining work. That means we've got to remove all the barriers, and one of the major barriers is lack of basic literacy skills, and that's why our partnership with Reed Muskegon is important. Bringing together a collaborative is one of the most important things that Reed Muskegon does, because that's going to make a lasting change in this community for everyone. We've been involved in a whole bunch of programs with Reed Muskegon. Those include things like Exit, Ignite. Exit is people who are returning from jail, and that work is incredibly important because people are coming back, re-entering as citizens, and they need assistance with everything. And it involves some work with their families because we know how important social structure is in helping people be successful in changing their lives for the better. So Reed Muskegon came and started an ESL class and it was full to capacity on the first time out, right? The first class, I think we had 27 people here. And being able to help people with their literacy and to be able to speak English better so that they can take some of these training opportunities is really a thing that makes that generational difference as well.
So all of our basic needs, like housing, healthcare, employment, at the core is literacy, because we really can't navigate independently all of those systems in order to really do what it is that we need to thrive in society.
I would say that Muskegon County has been welcoming to a lot of our newcomers for many years. In the 1940s, we had a lot of Latino families coming to Muskegon specifically because World War II was happening and a lot of the residents and factory workers were going off to war. And so a lot of our migrant families started to immigrate here to Michigan. Language is a huge part of being able to navigate everyday examples and life strains. I would say for my family, even my parents, they would never ask a doctor a question. So they would go to the doctor would say, take this medication, and they would say, okay. They would never ask a follow-up question. They would never ask how to. And we have literacy and we have the language in order to communicate with someone else. We then have a voice, and that voice can ask questions and make sure that we're making the best informed decision for ourselves. Reed Muskegon is one of the founding nonprofits and agencies here in Muskegon County because they offer literacy to all ages, to all people, whether you're English or non-English speaking. And I think it's important to see the person versus where they are in terms of their circumstances. It really is meeting the person where they are, and we all need knowledge, and that is literacy.
It's clear that literacy is a large enough issue that Reed Muskegon can't tackle alone. So our partnerships with schools and organizations and businesses are really essential to the work that we do.
The more literate you are, and literacy programs help this, the better off you're understanding your own health care. And so you can make more informed decisions when, when you have a higher literacy level, especially during pregnancy. Women that have a higher literacy level are more prone to get their prenatal care, their postnatal care. They ask the correct questions. Transportation resources don't seem to be as much of a problem. Socioeconomic factors don't seem to be as much of a problem for our pregnant moms that have higher literacy rates. The Health Equity Council is a BIPOC coalition here in Muskegon. This council was formed in order to empower our Black and brown people to be able to invest into the community and bring about community change. And so Read Muskegon was a very huge part of that because that's what you guys do. You bring about community change and in very, very, very subtle ways.
In Muskegon County, more than 60% of third graders are reading below reading level. That's too many people.
Muskegon ISD's job is to support our schools and our students ultimately with their learning, but also the staff that are impacting their lives every single day. We can't do that without the community. And that connection to the community is really important, and Read Muskegon helps us get there. So the Literacy Collaborative, as an example, is something Read Muskegon does to bring community together, to talk about challenges and hurdles that might exist for reading or other things that happen for adults and families. And so we're able to connect that way to the community through Read Muskegon, which is really important to the work we do ultimately.
We are always in need of volunteers. They are truly at the heart of everything that we do. So the volunteers at Read Muskegon support our programs in a lot of different ways. They're tutors. They go into our English classes to support our learners. They're in our jail-based programs. They support our family programs. And they come to the office to help organize materials or books or things that we need for the programs. And certainly we wouldn't be able to do what we do without the financial support of our community. So some of the programs that we provide are funded through grants, but not all of it. So we rely on donations to support everything that we do and to fill in those gaps. Read Muskegon is strong and we're still growing, and that's because of our community. We have exciting plans for the future and we hope that you'll join us.
All right, right back to, did I end up at the end of? To the slides. There we go. Okay. So part of what you saw there is this, and I could spend my whole 20 minutes talking about this. This is on the backside on your page. But there are two ways that Read Muskegon is doing our work. One is to provide programs that meet people where they're at today, no matter their age, from birth to our oldest learner who is in his 80s, right? To help them gain the reading and literacy skills to move their life forward wherever it's at. But the other piece of really important work we're doing is around systems change, because the adult literacy rate in our country hasn't changed for over 30 years, right? So it means it's not that people haven't been trying, but we're not doing everything we could. There's something missing. And so we're looking at addressing some of the systems like transportation and childcare, things that kept all of those individuals who became low literacy adults from reaching their full capacity. And one of the things that's being recognized on a national level is the very best way to make this happen, we were already starting to do here in Muskegon County. And that's being phrased as engaging learners as movement leaders. And what that is what you see in the center there. So at Read Muskegon, we are embedding literacy skill building into systems change programming around civic literacy, around addressing issues in your community and gaining literacy skills like communication and writing and technology while you do it. So again, really exciting stuff. Got a shout out to anyone here from the Community Foundation because they have been a huge partner in so many ways in supporting us in making that piece of our work happen. There's a lot more to it than what I have time to cover in Mike's deadline here. But The other thing I really want to talk about is what happens when a learner comes to Reed Muskegon, because I think people visualize someone just says, oh, today's the day I'm going to start tutoring, there's my class, there's my tutor, let's move on our way. But it's really not that simple, because most of the people who end up coming to Reed Muskegon for support, no matter their age, they had given up the idea that they could move forward in their literacy, that they could become a better reader. They never visualized themselves as a continuing learner, a lifelong learner, right? So they've got this barrier that is coupled with the idea that they don't have faith in other people to support their learning journey, to not judge them for the stumbles they may have made along the way or may make in the future. So we have a lot of work we have to do at Reed Muskegon before somebody even comes to us for help. And we rely on our community partners to help make that happen, because we go to places, to churches, to other providers in the community to build those relationships so that people will trust us. That's why we are where we are, so that people see us on the street and start to think, maybe I'm going to check out what's going on in there. So that first phase is really important. What happens once we get somebody into a program and they start coming consistently is that they start to accomplish things they never thought they could, right? All of a sudden they finished a book, they filled a form, they understand something when they were at a grocery store that they never thought they were going to be able to do before. And when that happens, it's like a switch flips in their brain, and they start to see themselves differently, they start to see their capacity differently. A lot of people who come to us when we say, what are some goals you have for your time with us? They can't even name a goal, because that's not how they see their life. They don't look at the future as something that's a progression. They just are like, I'm just going to get through this next day. So teaching someone that they have capacity and that they have the capability and the right to have goals and reach them is a part of that process. And when that transformation happens, it changes the way they see themselves, which changes the way they interact with their community, their family, at their place of work, and how they engage with their neighbors and their schools, with all of it. And as that happens, what happens next is that they begin to thrive. And that's not something that happens overnight. It's baby steps, right? It's not like a door opens, you walk through and life is perfect. But when you do what Shay said and you take the power of literacy and learn how to put it to work to change your life, all of a sudden you're going into your doctor's office and asking questions, and you manage your diabetes better. You can go into a bank and open your very first bank account after decades of using money orders and putting money in secret spots in your home. You might go to lunch at your place of work in your lunchroom and see a posting for a job that pays more than what you're making now, that you've been making for years, and think, wow, I think I can do that. And there's a pathway for me to get there. It might be that you go to your parent-teacher conference with your child for the very first time, not afraid that they're going to put a paper in front of you that you couldn't read. So that process of transformation helps to start people thriving in their daily life, which then starts to break that cycle of generational illiteracy and poverty. As an organization, Reed Muskegon has also gone through that same process. We started with that gold standard of one-on-one tutoring, but we learned that wasn't enough, right? So over the 2 decades that we have been around, we have also gone through a transformation process, which again you see on that information in front of you, to be who we are today, to really be a part of being a catalyst and a leader for change, not just in Muskegon County, but in the state and in the country. So as part of that, as we now begin to really thrive and become the organization that those who need our services deserve, we have some big plans. So, many of you saw in the video and know we've been in this space at 26 East Broadway in downtown Muskegon Heights since 2017. It's owned by the Downtown Development Authority. They've been an amazing partner. We have loved it there. When we first moved there, it was like a palace. We didn't own a desk or a chair or even a garbage can. So we thought this is going to be our long-term home. We're going to figure out how to purchase this building eventually and renovate it. About 5 years ago, the board started saying to me, Melissa, you got to look at something else, because this is never going to be what we need for the future. We're already bursting at the seams. We've moved most of our programming out of this space because we don't have the capacity for our staff and the programs. But there were a lot of things we love about this building. We loved being right in a main thoroughfare where people are walking by, they're driving by, they're seeing us. We love those big windows because people look in and that might be the first time they walk in a day like today and say, wow, can I sit here for a second and get warm? And then they start to figure out what we do and they come back again. We also love being a part of Muskegon Heights, right? We love being a part of this community where we've been really welcomed, where we want to be a part of the future. So we weren't willing to leave that, which then also limited kind of all those things where we looked. But just over a year ago, we were made aware of a building that was vacant. A lot of you might recognize this as the old Potter's Lamps building. After Potter's closed, it was purchased by a church, which wasn't used very much. It was pretty much left as you see it. Aldea Coffee roasted coffee in there for a couple of years, but again, there wasn't a lot of work done on it. So it's pretty much in disrepair, but as you'll see, this is sitting right on Peck Street across from the town offices. So it has that same main corridor that we're looking for. It's got storefront windows. It's got all the things we wanted, just with more space. So last March, after probably 6 or 8 months, but a lot of time before that, and being prepared for this moment, we purchased this building. And we are now in the process of finalizing plans for renovation and the timeline for starting that, a lot of which I'd love to share with you now, but I will share more publicly in January. But what I can share with you is, I know this is going to be really hard to see, the floor plan, right? And this, I will say, we are working with 2 of our fellow Rotarians. Andrea Regler from SCH is doing the architectural work, and we've been working with Arlen Gaddy and Earhart, who have been contracted to do the construction on this. So there's still some updates to this plan, but I want to highlight 2 things in here. One that you would see if you could read this is that there's a childcare room. Right? One of the biggest barriers for our adult participants is childcare. So we're going to be able to offer free care for children while their caregiving adults are in our building in program. It's also going to allow an extra learning opportunity for these kids who are in the homes where they are most at risk of becoming the next generation of low literacy adults. That center room will be our training and classroom, workshop room. It is going to have state-of-the-art technology, which is going to allow those who are in our programs not to just attend class, but to have access to the technology that they need to gain the skills that they're going to need to be qualified for those entry-level jobs that we're having such a hard time filling in Muskegon County right now. This is also in walking distance of Muskegon Heights High School and Middle School and MLK. So as we continue to expand our K-12 programming, it might be a place where after school we will have drop-in sessions where they can come in and utilize that technology as well and get some extra tutoring if they need it. So a lot of exciting plans again in the future, space for community partners to come in if they need a space to meet with people, a lot of really great things coming around the corner for that. Oops, did I miss one? I think there was one last slide, one slide in there. We just, as we move in here, our projection in that first year, once the building is functional, is that we'll serve over 600 people per year because of the access to technology and childcare and all of those other things. So we're really, really excited. Lots more to come on that. There's a lot more other stuff happening behind the scenes, programs around the county. And just really open to questions. And I also want to say Jim Fisher and I have been meeting every once in a while to talk about the ways Rotary can get more involved, not just in Reed Muskegon, but in literacy in general around the county. So also looking forward to figuring that out.
Amazing story. One of the things that is a characteristic of our community is collaboration. That is on stage right here. Thank you very much for that. 2 things. Give us 30 seconds on civic literacy, and I didn't see anything about economic literacy.
Sure. So civic literacy was in the middle of that thing. And civic literacy, we have developed, right now I think it's an 8-unit curriculum on that. So one unit might be government, right? One might be how to vote. One might be who is the right person if I care about the roads to go to. I mean, there's a lot of civic literacy curriculums, if you Google it, that are out there They are not written at a level that's accessible over half of our country. Same thing when you talk about economics, and there's a lot of financial literacy is probably closer to what we call it. So we have been contracted now to develop a financial literacy curriculum that will be used throughout the state, I believe, certainly within Muskegon County, that does the same thing. A lot of banks and financial institutions have financial literacy curriculums, but we are working on something specifically for lower literacy adults. Both of those things, again, to your point, are really instrumental, we believe, in changing the outcomes for families for the long term.
Hey, Melissa. Lots of numbers here showing, and you mentioned the adult literacy rate in the States has not moved in the last 30 years. Where have you found, and maybe it's anecdotal, but where have you found success in breaking into that?
Sure. I think the biggest thing, and there's, again, a whole lot of conversation about why this has happened that has to do with how reading was taught in school. So we should have a whole nother subgroup on that. But I think the biggest thing that we know is we can't expect those who need help to come to us. We need to start by going to where they're at. So our biggest successes, honestly, have been in the jail. We know that those who are incarcerated in the county jail are going to re-enter our community for the most part. A lot of them, national statistics show, are reading below grade level. It's a time when they're open to learning. So things like that, going into churches, building partnerships with churches, with a lot of our community providers, places like Health West and Hackley Community Care. And then I think it's finding curriculum topics that are meaningful, that they can use every day. So how to read a lease agreement, how to read financial information, how to read school enrollment information. So not using a book that is full of random things that don't mean something to you in your life.
One more question.
You mentioned that you help about 600 people a year or expect to. How much time do they spend on average with you?
Good question. It really, really depends. Our goal is to try to have them complete at least 40 hours of instruction, but we have learners who have been with us for years, and some of them have such a strong relationship with us, even when they don't necessarily need us anymore, they keep coming back because they say when they talk about Reed Muskegon, feels like home, feels like family, I feel safe and celebrated here. So we're trying to also develop ways through that civic literacy curriculum and some of our, like our Families in Action program, where those learners who are growing capacity can become mentors and leaders and use those skills to stay connected to us. But the longer we can keep them until they feel like they're ready for that next step to enter ED, to go to community college, to get that job, the better. And it's hard because there are a lot of hurdles in their daily life. So it's a hard. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, Melissa, and very well done. Just a reminder that as an honorarium, we have contributed to Shelter Box. It's a disaster relief partner to and so we are passing along that honorarium on your behalf. At this time, I'm going to turn over the podium to Melissa, the second Melissa, who's going to talk about the results and their really outstanding results from our membership survey.
So about a month ago, everybody received the link to take a survey from the membership committee. And so Mary Ann Gorman, who could not be here today, she was really the impetus behind this. And one of the things that she wanted to do was take the pulse of our club and just kind of see what our members thought in an anonymous survey. So I was kind of like the one that helped her set it up and things like that, but she was really the driving force of this. And what we found was really actually pleasantly, very nicely surprising. We had some great results. This survey was developed, I'll have Mike bring it up. So this survey was developed off of the Rotary International survey. So they developed a survey and then we took questions from that and we kind of used those to then put out to you guys. So the first page, this was amazing. Over 101 people took this survey. out of our club. That is an amazing response. We were so happy with that. That's 42%. And that's probably the majority of the active club members. So you guys, you did it. Thank you. We heard your voice, and now we have that. And the other thing is look at the satisfaction rate on this one. Overall, how satisfied are you with being a member of our club? 77% basically said they are very satisfied. So that is a good thing to see. And if you guys can kind of look down and see the rest of the results. But, if you add in the satisfied and somewhat satisfied, we're at way over 80%, close to 90. That's pretty good. Club meetings. So there was a whole bunch of questions about how you felt about the meetings that our club does. And one of the things that we want to know is, do you enjoy the club meetings? And 94%, agree or somewhat agree that they do enjoy the club meetings. So that's good for us to know that you guys are enjoying being here. We also asked about the number of fundraising activities. Did you think that that was appropriate? And again, the majority did think that what we do is appropriate. And I can freely express myself among our club and our members. 89% were agreeing or somewhat agreeing. That's a good indication, because you want your members to feel like they have a voice and that they can have a say and that it's heard. And so this is telling us the majority of this club does feel like that. With the culture. So one of the things is I can freely express myself. Our club has a welcoming environment, and my club reflects the diversity of our community. When we talked about this week at the Rotary Board level, we realized this is kind of where, if we do this again, there was some subjectivity in some of these questions. And so, if I go to the club reflects our diversity of our community, what does community mean to you? We did not define that. So if we redo it or we send out a second survey, there's a bunch of these questions that Rotary International put out that we would then maybe subclass and get better information. But again, the results are overwhelmingly still very positive. The majority of the club feels like they can express themselves, that we have a welcoming environment, and then that we do reflect the diversity. I think this question was the one that had the most colorful bar graphs. This is definitely something we're going to want to look at and keep an eye on in the future, and kind of break down what that community means to everybody, because it does mean different things to different people, and this survey didn't really address that. But still, good numbers. So is this one club meetings? So again, length, some of the things just about the physical meeting, the length, the time for socializing, we looked at those, and as a member of the programming committee as well as the membership committee, sometimes we hear, are the meetings too long? Do we take too long in certain things? But pretty much people are satisfied with the length of the meeting and the time that they're here. So that was really nice to see. Time for socializing. This is one of the things that was really important to a lot of you on a previous survey when we talked about things. So the fact that we are giving you enough time before the meeting, during the meeting, and after the meeting for socializing was important. And so that was a great one to see. Professional connections and networking, 84% were satisfied or somewhat agree that we do have enough opportunities for that. And then opportunities to offer input and have discussions. 75% agree or somewhat agree that we do that. And this might be another one that we kind of put a tag on that we would break down if we do a second survey. Service projects. Total number of projects and the number of local projects. So this was one that it was really good. So total number of projects, the way that we interpreted this on the survey's end was, of all the things we do, both international and local, are they okay? Are they too many, too less? How did you feel? And again, I don't know how you guys interpreted this, but I'm hoping it's the same way. But it looks like it's just right. Like, we feel like we are doing the right amount of service projects for not only our community, but our international connections too, because that's a big part of Rotary. And then when it comes to local projects, we do feel like we're doing a good job within our Muskegon community. Communication. it's very nice to see that huge agree that we are really good at communicating with our members. There's lots of different ways that we do this. You know, Kim puts out emails, we have the RIM, we have the actual physical meetings. There's, you know, the Club Runner app where you can network with numbers. So it looks like for the most part, we all agree that our communication within this club is pretty good. And then my club regularly acts on the input and ideas from members. 75% agree or somewhat agree with that. You know, the neither agree nor disagree, it's hard to tell what people meant by that. And we only had, you know, maybe 6 people say somewhat disagree. So again, we're trending very positive here in these surveys. And then for individual feelings about the club, I am welcome in my club. 88% agreed that they are welcome in this club. That is huge. The fact that people feel like they can come here, that this club is them, it represents them, that they feel welcome here. I think that's huge, because if you don't have a welcoming club, people leave. So the fact that our numbers are so high too, kind of back up this. That my Rotary experience is worth the cost. And you guys can see 67% agree, 21% somewhat agree, and 6% neither agree nor disagree, and then we had 4% somewhat disagree. So again, it's still trending very positive. And my experience as a member is worth the time I commit to Rotary. 73% agree with that. So we agree that when we're here and the time that we give this club, it is worth it. So that was a huge thing to see. So there was a lot of answers to some of the open-ended questions. And what we did is we kind of pulled out things that trended, that we saw over and over and over again. So what community needs should the club address through service projects? The 3 that came up over and over and over again, multiple times, are homelessness and housing in some form. That was very, very apparent and very strong within the survey. Literacy, which is so perfect to have Melissa here today talking about Reed Muskegon and literacy. And then youth mentoring. So these are the things that came up. So from the program committee side, since I serve on that one too, we're going to be taking these results to our next programming committee meeting to make sure that we incorporate these topics into the programs that we set up for you. And there was other ones too that we're going to look at all of them. But those were the 3 hot ones. And then when the other comments, some of the things that people put on that kind of came up more than once were they do want more service projects. And so we'll have to delve into that, because it's kind of contradictory to, I think we're doing the right amount of service projects. So maybe it's different types of service projects that they're looking for. They also want to see, you guys want to see more participation in service projects. That came up multiple times. So I don't know exactly, is that we see the same people that are always doing the service projects and we want to see more of our club members become active in that, or you know, we just want to see higher numbers. So that one is kind of open-ended. We're going to have to look into that a little bit more. But I just think it's kind of funny that everybody agreed that the service projects were the right amount, but we want to do more and we want more participation. So we'll have to work on that. A whole bunch of people, and I had to ask about this at the board meeting, because this is before my time. They want to bring back the fines, and they said Kevin's fines. That's the way that it was. And it came up a lot. So for the newer members, what I found out is these fines were things that Kevin would arbitrarily do on some days. So maybe you didn't wear your Rotary pin and he went around, and if you didn't have your pin, you had to pay. So there were little things like that. So, so the board knows that you want the fines back. Some people say no. And then the last thing that kind of came up was, there was a lot of different forms, but basically what it boiled down to is more transparent with how club leaders are chosen. So what is that process? If you want to be part of that process, how do you become part of that process? And so the board has also heard this one, and they're going to work on that too. But I think overwhelmingly, this was a very positive survey. Our club is pretty happy. We're pretty content with what we're doing. And so that just kind of gives us a little bit of a pulse. And there's a couple things that we'll dive into. Of course, this was our first survey. So if we were doing this again, there was one question on there that asked, you know, what can you do to help your club? Well, because it was anonymous, I have all the list of things that you can help with and no names tied to it. So that is a life lesson for the membership club, is to make sure that our questions when doing an anonymous survey, actually we can get the answers. But we can kind of figure, you know, out, like, basically if you're a nonprofit worker, we can then ask, okay, everybody out there, nonprofits, somebody, if you want to help, we're looking for those people. But good job, guys. Thanks for taking the survey and making the survey a success, and thanks for giving us this little pulse check on how we're doing.
Well done. One thing I might point out, I've been to two PETS conferences. PET stands for Presidential Elect Training Seminars. And we've seen Rotary, and at least I've seen a couple times, survey results from Rotary worldwide, and or if not in our zone or United States in general. Our numbers, I don't think I'm exaggerating, our numbers are 20-25% better than what we see here. Sometimes, some even maybe 30. It's just amazing the feedback that we received, and we appreciate your participation in it. 40%, for those of you who've done surveys before, 40% is really, really high. Oftentimes, 10% is considered to be an adequate amount of a survey. So thank you very much for participating in that. At this time, we will turn to the birthday slide. Relatively short list today. We're celebrating Melissa's birthday 2 weeks in a row. So she and then Arlen Dean Gaddy, December the 14th. And so with that, since she is here again, we will sing Happy Birthday. So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Next, we're going to go to our spotlight. Spotlight today is Nick Green. He's going to talk about our social media efforts.
My name is Nicholas Green. I'm a Rotarian, as well as I work for Route 31 Credit Union as their business development officer, and I help our Rotary Club with our social media page. Like a lot of things in Rotary, it's service above self. So I was actually at a Pours for Community event, and Ginny Sprague actually approached me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in running our social media?" And I said, "Oh boy, I didn't know how much that would entail, and I was kind of busy at the moment." But I said, I'll consider it. And so a week later, I had a meeting. Jason Piasecki and Carla Flanders were also in that meeting and said they'd give me a hand. So shout out to them as well. Currently, we're using Facebook and Instagram. So on Facebook, it's Muskegon Rotary Club. Like, share, follow us. Shameless little plug there. And then also on Instagram, it's Muskegon Rotary. What we like to do is highlight some of the things that we're doing, have done, and will do in the future currently. If anyone, any of the committees, any of the clubs, feel free to reach out to us and ask us. Simply just asking, hey, can you post about this, or post about this event we have coming up, or this fundraiser? Please feel free to do so. Approach myself, approach Carla Flanders at a Rotary meeting, or shoot us an email, and we'd be more than happy to support your subcommittees or committees in any way we can. Essentially, it's free marketing. There are paid ads and things of that nature, but it's a really, really great way for us to get our message out there, what we do, the charity that we do, the student exchanges that we do, all the fundraising, all the parties in the park. Let's build excitement around that, and let's keep growing this thing, because I think it's a valuable tool, and it'll only help get what we do out there and engage more members and maybe a different demographic that maybe want to join Muskegon Rotary Club.
Well, thank you, Nick. At this time, Meredith, we're going to spin the wheel. I'm no longer participating.
All right, with the help of the wonderful Mr. Vogus, if you could spin our wheel for us. Joni, Joni wasn't able to be here today due to road conditions. One more time, Mr. Vogus. That'll teach her. Yeah, there you go. Only the brave remain. Oh, and our dear friend Emma. She ain't here either. Yep. See, Andy, you're on a streak here. One more time, Mr. Vogus. Is Don here today? Oh, he is. You broke our streak, Don. Thank you for participating. And last time for today. Oh, and our very own Jules Thierry. So last week, Roger Morgenstern and I were chatting a little bit about some of our Rotarians don't exactly know what these contests are all about. And so in brief, read the REM. He wrote up a beautiful summary. But this is your opportunity to give to the Muskegon Rotary Foundation. And I'll share a little bit about why Aaron Mikey shares so much with the Rotary Foundation. But it's also your opportunity to, number one, meet your contribution from Muskegon Rotary Foundation on a yearly basis, and the possibility of winning a Paul Harris Fellow for you to keep or share with someone in the community. So just wanted to share a little bit about that before I read Aaron's statement. 50% of Muskegon Foundation grants come back to the local district to fund projects that we do in the community. To qualify for these district grants, our club must hit $100 per capita giving per member. I was pretty involved in district work in a past club, and the amazing work that could be done through Rotary funding is astounding. Overall, I appreciate the work Rotary does locally and around the world. Unfortunately, because of the big size of our club, we often hit the 100 per capita the local district will fund, but it is still less than if each and every one of us gave $100 each year. However, it misses the bigger point of the Rotary's global impact. So in a nutshell, continue to give and continue the good work both here locally and across the globe.
And now we move on to announcements. We have a couple of people who are going to be commenting in a second here, but just a reminder that next week, December 19th, will be our annual meeting and holiday program. We will elect new officers and board members who will be taking office July the 1st, 2025. Importantly, spouses and significant others are invited at no cost, so please consider that. Sign up using the Sign Up Genius, and historically this is our largest gathering of the year. At this time, I'm going to ask Mike to show a video about our Muskegon Outbound Youth Exchange Students fundraising effort.
The Youth Exchange auction we put together to assist the Interact Exchange students, or the exchange students come from the high schools of Muskegon County, to afford to go overseas for a year of exchange students. We receive items from the Rotarians that we can put on auction. We write them up and describe them and bring them down to Shoreline Top Bid Auction House here in Muskegon. They do a monthly auction. At the end of the auction, the proceeds that we receive from there, they send to the Rotary Club, and we use the proceeds for that to help the youth exchange kids pay for this expenses that they have. I'm at the lunches often, and we'll be putting it in the room, and I'll have a flyer that shows some of the things that we need, how to contact us, and the time frame that we're doing it in. It's not an ongoing thing, it's just a quarterly thing that we do to raise money for the exchange students. The month of December, we'll be picking up the items and getting them on the auction. January 22nd is the auction date for the next auction, so we have a little bit of time yet. This is the third auction we've done. So far, we've raised $1,800 in auctions and $2,500 in additional funds that somebody had we've gotten $4,300 to these students, which we're getting ready to give away this next Thursday to them. That helps them out so much, and the experience that these kids get from the international exchange is worth every bit of the money that we pay for it. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Donate to our next auction.
If you want to come over for a second, Craig, but many of you don't know that it costs about $8,000 for each of the students to go, and it's generally been the responsibility of the parents and family members who have helped out. But just another comment?
Yeah, we do this every quarterly.
Mike.
Here's the program. You see them on your tables right there. We do this every quarter. The exchange students that we have, they're ambassadors all around the world for us. Who we send out and what they come back are different people altogether. It's a program well worth our time. Christy is one of them that does our program here. She's a national one. She's getting ready to move to the Central Asian Pacific, so most of our students go through her. The money that we raise is an incredible amount, $8,000 for these kids. They probably have never seen that kind of money, so the money that we raise for them gives them an opportunity that they would never have, and we're hoping to continue this. We have kids going right now that are ready for this, but they do need your assistance for this program, and we hope that this continues for a long time. Thank you. There's a QR code also on that thing that if you want to do the cash donations instead of donating items, we do accept those as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Okay, so on a different, connected but yet separate, Pop Can Drive. We are trying to raise funds for two students who are in extreme financial need, who are willing to go outside of their box and give service of themselves to one to travel to Honduras for service, another one to be an ambassador representing Muskegon for a year abroad in exchange. So these two individuals need help, and so we are collecting, as you already know, pop cans and bottles. I have to give a shout out to Carla Flanders. I went to her house to pick up hers, as she's still here, and filled up my entire car, and her contribution was $80 just from her. And so not all of us can do something like that, and providing that much. So I have an idea. Some of you will just have like maybe 10 for a week or just a small bag, which is fine, because if we all just put our small bags together, it equates to a lot. So I didn't ask this, I'm sorry, but next week I will be here again, and over by the coat rack, if you have just a small bag of 10 cans or bottles, whatever, bring it, and just put your bag over by the coats, and then I'll bring my SUV and I'll just pile them all in there, and we'll all collectively have a big drive together. Our goal is $1,000 by the end of the year. So, and if you do have a lot, also John Noling and Bill Luxterman will come even to your home and pick them up, or myself. So collect the bottles, put them in your garage this week. So thank you.
I didn't ask permission to do this one either, but at the last social event that we did at the Muskegon Museum of History and Science, one of you left a beautiful women's jacket at the museum. I have it in my office. It's black and white kind of tweed with a big fluffy collar. So if it is yours, please let me know.
For some reason, everybody else who was going to do this announcement was afraid to talk about the symphony brass that's playing here next week. I understand, because every conductor is taught first thing in conducting school, never look at the brass. Think about it. Next week, we're going to have a brass quintet from the West Michigan Symphony here to entertain you for the holiday season. They're going to play seasonal favorites from around the world. They may not be your favorites, but they'll be somebody's favorites. And we couldn't fit the entire orchestra in here because there'd be no room for you. So if you want to hear the full orchestra, you got to come to Home for the Holidays the next day. Thank you. At the Frauenthal.
Just a couple others. It's important that we will not be holding our luncheon meetings on December the 26th or January the 2nd. We will resume meeting on January the 9th, and we will be at the Lake House for that particular luncheon. So don't come here on the 9th. Put it on your calendar now if you can. And then the other thing is that, as was just mentioned, we have the Rewind Pop Can Drive. So next, we're going to do the raffle. Karam? $1732. 1668. 1668. Select another one. 676. 676. These aren't last week's tickets, are they? One 626. Going to our youngest attendee today.
One 723.
17. Okay, if everybody would rise and we'll do the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you very much for attending, and we look forward to seeing you next week.